giving you an opportunity to get the full story from the people who tell it best. This is Mediacom News Leaders.
Hello everyone and welcome to Mediacom News Leaders. I'm Carol Kelly. Joining us today is the Superintendent of Waterloo Schools, Dr. Jane Lindaman. Welcome.
Thank you.
I think it's very good timing. We've heard a lot in the news about just recent stories that have been happening regarding safety in schools. Can you talk to us a little bit about this heightened security and how the district is dealing with this?
Yeah, you know, I think every district in the state of Iowa has always paid attention to safety and how we keep our kids safe. But with the recent events, I think we are just on a very heightened alert. I think districts all across the state of Iowa, and Waterloo is no exception, they are reviewing their plans that they've had in place, maybe making some changes, modifications to those plans based on what's going on right now.
And tell us a little bit about, there's talk of districts having to have safety plans in place, and they're being forced to do as they should.
Yeah, at the legislative level, in the recent weeks, the legislators have reprioritized the school safety, and there's some legislation coming out, which I actually personally very much support, that it would require every district in the state of Iowa to have a safety plan on file with the state of Iowa. And certainly they've allowed for, legislators have allowed for those plans to remain confidential as much as is important. It's just more that they're trying to force districts and ensure that districts have a plan and that we've thought through all those things. I very much support that. I would also add that they have done some surveys and they say while 80% of districts in the state of Iowa have plans, only about 10% of those districts have really enacted their plans to the level where their staff have practiced exit drills or have practiced intruder drills. Waterloo is one of those 10% that has taken it to that level, and I think that's really important.
And let's talk about that too, the reason behind not doing the practice, because we practice for tornado drills and we practice for fire drills.
You know, my hunch is that districts that haven't taken it to that level have just maybe a time issue. I think sometimes there's people that think if you don't address it, it doesn't exist, the threat doesn't exist. I would always err on the side of being over-prepared. We actually have created a video, an intruder training video that we show to all of our staff. We actually practice the drill, which is really, you're always going to try to run and then hide and then counter as a last resort, but we actually practice that with our staff, and more importantly, we even practice it with our students. I happen to have 2 children in elementary school in Waterloo Schools, and they will come home and say, "Mom, we practiced our drill. We climbed out the window today." I actually personally think that's really great. Sometimes parents don't want us to address it, but I would rather address it and never need it than to need it and not have addressed it.
And let's talk about the parent piece and what's the timing like? If there is an incident at the school, you know, when should the parents be alerted?
Yeah, you know, since the Parkland tragedy, there have been 15 threats just in the state of Iowa. Most of them have not materialized, thank God. But I think it has caused districts all over the state of Iowa to pay attention to when you notify your parents of a potential threat. Clearly, if the threat happens when kids aren't there, you know, let's say the evening before, you have time to think through what you would do and how you would notify parents. But if kids are at school, when do you call parents? We've worked with law enforcement officials, and we've also worked with safety organizations and have talked with them, and there really is some research behind not calling parents right away. When you call them, we're parents, and we want to arrive on the scene to help keep our kids safe. That actually has been proven to add, you know, parents to the mix of the crisis, and we have a hard enough time, you know, in a situation like that. You're really focusing on keeping the staff and students safe, and then when you have parents arrive on scene, that causes some issues. So we have dialogues about when we would call them, and we would call them as soon as makes sense, and that we have things calm down.
And I imagine anytime they can give you a call or talk to you
Absolutely.
If there's any question.
Yes, they should. Call our switchboard at 433-1800 or check out waterlooschools.org.
Well, we always appreciate the time. Thank you so much for joining us. This has been Mediacom News Leaders, your opportunity to get the full story from the most reliable sources exclusively on Mediacom News Leaders.